happy Monday. I hope that you are feeling motivated today. I'm feeling motivated because I am doing something today that has been in my spirit, in my belly, if I was going to be real churchy about it, for a very long time. I am a newsie. As any of you who follow me here know, I truly have a news addiction. I don't just like knowing what's going on or do it because it's part of my work, but I enjoy news, knowing what is happening in the world and making sure that I know it at all times. But I have grown increasingly frustrated, not just for myself, but for others, because when I watch news broadcasts, when I see cable news, mainstream news, digital news, you name it, news, many times I end up after hours and hours going, wait a minute, okay, so what are the facts? What's up? What's down? What's really happening? Make it make sense. And the more I kept asking myself that, the more compelled I felt to answer it. So I started doing, as many of you know, late night sessions during the pandemic, during the start of the pandemic when we were all in lockdown. And my goal in those was basically to answer the who, what, where, when, why. And then, yes, I'm as opinionated as the next person, so commentary. But commentary based on facts. And anytime something happens, I have people following me and people hitting me up saying, but what is this really about? But what are the facts really? We're waiting to hear what you have to say about this. And I just think that it's time that I do what I believe I'm called to do, and that is bring you the information. Set the facts straight, give you data-driven information so that you can make an informed decision. People perish for lack of knowledge. That's just straight scripture. And I don't want anybody perishing on my watch if I can do something about it. So welcome to Make It Make Sense, where we know that's something we say sarcastically, that's something we say when it makes no sense at all. But I truly want to do that here. I want to strip down the static and the noise and the nonsense and make topics that matter to each and every one of us every day make sense. So if you can't figure out heads or tails in voting rights legislation, we're going to tell you what it is, why it matters, why it didn't pass before, but we have to keep trying. And we're going to bring in someone who knows way more about it than I do to give you the facts. If you're seeing that you should be really excited about the infrastructure bill, but you're like, how does that affect my bottom line? We've got the answers. If you've got children and grandchildren and you care about this place that we live in, not turning into more of a cesspool than it already is, an environment actually matters to you, we're going to give you the facts and a call to action so you know what you can do about it today, not when Congress gets its act together and passes legislation. And then, of course, there are the issues that are close to my heart that have been part of my life's work, whether it is criminal justice reform, police misconduct, whether it is all things law and law related, like, hey, I think we're about to have a Black woman on the Supreme Court. Go figure. We're going to actually talk about that tomorrow. But for today, I want to start with something that if you watched any of the news over the weekend, you know, and you're probably tired of knowing, that the state of police misconduct in this country is a crisis. Now, when I say police misconduct, I'm not just talking about someone getting shot and killed when they're not supposed to. Police misconduct is actually defined as a wrongful touching, wrongful arrest, wrongful detainment, wrongful stop, search, seizure, when you stop people and you search them under pretense, when all you're really trying to do is target them because of their race. All of those things are police misconduct, and they are in violation of our constitutional and states' rights. Now, it may not surprise you to know that Black people in the United States, Black men and women, and secondarily brown men and women, are disproportionately stopped, searched, frisked, arrested, detained, jailed, assaulted, battered, killed at the hands of law enforcement. And if you're looking for more information about that, you can go to the EEOC for data. You can go to the Department of Justice, DOJ.gov, for data, and they will show you the numbers. And you'll see that if you are a Black man in America, you've got a target on your back. And it's not just from a criminal. It's from the people who are armed, licensed by the United States government. It's from the people who are supposed to, who take an oath to protect and serve. Now, I know you probably have all seen, this was just the 10th anniversary this past weekend of Trayvon Martin being killed at the hands of someone who thought they were law enforcement. And you've seen the McMichaels trial. That was people who acted as though they were law enforcement and performed a lynching on their streets. And then there are cases, you know the cases, George Floyd, Michael Brown. Most recently, a case I'm going to talk to you about today, Amir Locke. There are too many names, Black men and women, for me to go through. And it can all get very heavy, frankly, if we go into it not knowing what the answers are. But there are answers, even in the times that seem the most bleak. How many of you know that it's not the federal government, but the local government? It's your city, police department, and mayor's office that controls the municipal regulations and the local police code for your city. And then after that, there are state-governed law enforcement measures and guidelines. And then on top of that, there's the federal government, where we were working so hard for the past year, hoping that the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act would be passed. And the Congress, the Senate failed us. They failed to pass the legislation, but we're still fighting for it. And it's still important for us to fight for it. Why does it matter? It matters for your child. It matters for mine. It matters for us as adults walking the streets. It matters enough that we should be showing up at every council meeting, demanding that they make changes locally. We should be voting in every single election. What is it that you can do that you're not doing yet? Have you been sitting down complaining about it and remaining, not choosing to take any action whatsoever? I'm hoping that in the coming days and weeks and months, we can help you with that. It's important for our lives and for the lives of our children that we right now do every single thing that we can. So I'm going to have a guest who I hope, let me check and see if he's ready yet, who definitely has more information about this than I do. But in the meantime, I see you guys asking some questions. What I would like you to do, because I want to try each day to answer questions at the end of our broadcast, use the little question mark symbol that's right at least on my screen, it's at the bottom of my screen. If you stick questions in there, then I'll know, or someone who's in my ear will know that there are questions, and I will try, if we have enough time, to get to them. What's important to me is that this doesn't take all day, that you're coming to me in the middle of your lunch hour or in the middle of work, or you're listening while you're supposed to be working. So I want to get in and get out, give you the facts, give you some commentary, talk to an expert, and be done. And then we'll be broadcasting later. It'll be on my Facebook page, it'll be on my Instagram page, obviously, it'll be on my YouTube page, so you'll be able to watch again and share. And I see, good, somebody just followed instructions and sent a question. I am going to pin a comment while we're waiting for our guest. Make it. If I can, you'll know I am so technologically challenged, but I'm speaking better over my life. Okay, I posted. And I pinned it. People were asking, what's the name of the broadcast podcast? We're right here. It's a show. Make It Make Sense is what it's called. Let me see if I've got a guest. We're waiting for attorney Ben Crump to join us. And he right now, I think, is somewhere between Miami and wherever. This was the weekend of the Trayvon Martin 10th anniversary, as I already said. And there was a march this weekend, and there was a gala. And there's plenty going on, as you know. Today, the McMichaels trial is starting back because the sentencing that the DOJ had worked out with one or two of the defendants fell apart because we're going to let Attorney Crump tell us why it fell apart. And there's so much else going on, and these are all clients of his, so I'm leaning on him, and I'm being told that he is about to request, so I don't have to fill time, but you guys know I can talk. So we'll be here every day at noon. Make it make sense, right? And if you have things that you have questions about that you know are important, whether you need a will or not, and why, what concerns are in your area in terms of Black women and mortality while they're pregnant. Why are our numbers so much higher? You know your questions better than I know your questions. I've got my list, but you know the things that you need to know, and I want to try to get you those answers. Now, I am told that Attorney Crump is trying to join. So let me see if I go to the end. I will see that. Somebody tag him, and we'll wait. No, it says he's requesting now, so we're waiting. And if you want to support this broadcast and the work that we're endeavoring to do, go to my link tree and my bio and join on Patreon. And then you can get behind the scenes conversations and information. And someone's telling me, yes, I know I can request him, but I think he should be able to. If he's on, I'll see when he joins. Here I go. Okay. I've invited him. I hope that worked. He's a super busy man, so we have to wait. See if I can answer a couple of questions. What time will I go live every day? Noon, high noon. Meet me here. Are you going to have guests every show? No, not every. Some shows I will be taking a topic that I know enough about to give you the who, what, where, when, why, the facts on, and give those to you, whether it's a new topic like a new piece of legislation or something that we find is important enough to bring the information to you, or if it's a kind of what we call an evergreen topic that I believe everybody needs to have maximum information on, we will be able to bring you those questions. So, oh, I see you. Hi, Attorney Crump.
Hey, Monique Pressley,
Hello, sir.
how you doing, Queen?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fighting on the front line, Monique. I probably need your advice on these things in Minneapolis that's going on, as well as in Hollywood, Florida, where a man was stark naked, face down, handcuffed, and the police officer shot and paralyzed him, and they won't release the video.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, Ben, as you keep saying to me, I guess that's the place I need to start. They just keep killing us. They just
Yeah.
keep killing us. And wait a minute, hold on. I mean, everybody on here, we've been waiting on you, so I know they all know you. They're excited that you're here, but I still feel compelled to introduce our nation's preeminent civil rights attorney, my mentor, colleague, friend, ride or die for real, because in the middle of everything he's doing, I called him and he came and did this, and just a never fail. So Attorney Crump, if it's happening and it matters to our people, you're there. And we thank you so much for that. I thank you personally for that. You've walked me in rooms I could have never walked myself into. You've provided me opportunities and exposure that has changed my life and has led me to this point right here today. So can you all just throw some hearts up on the screen to welcome Attorney Benjamin L. Crump?
Thank you so much for that, Monique. You are not only one of the kindest, but most brilliant people I know. That's a lawyer, non-lawyer. I mean, God has anointed us with having you in our lives. And I tell people often when we get a chance to engage in public, whether it's George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, or now with Amir Locke, I'm back channeling with Monique because I know she's always going to break it down in a way that not even I can fully appreciate until she gives us that perspective, because she represented law enforcement when she was with the city, but she's also sued many of them. And so you need that perspective, that balance. So thank you, Monique, for always answering my calls.
Well, that's not going to change because we're in these trenches. But you know what, Ben? I explained before you came on that the reason why I'm doing this, I mean, we're working on something altogether different. There's something coming after this, but I just couldn't wait, Ben. It just couldn't wait because there are things happening now, and I felt so compelled, truly by God, to share not just my voice, but the voice of people I'm connected to like you now, so that we can get the facts. Because sometimes I turn on the TV and it's just noise, and static, bickering. And I'm saying, and I'm supposed to be knowing what's going on, and I'm saying, make it make sense. And so that's what our goal is here now, today. We're going to do what we can to make it make sense. So I want to start with questions I have, and if you can't answer them, we're going to understand, but I'm going to push for a minute.
Okay.
The McMichaels trial is happening because the plea agreement that was entered into by the Department of Justice, the Civil Division, which is headed by our colleague and friend, my sister, Kristen Clark, it fell apart. Can you tell us why, if we had a guilty plea, and if we had, according to what he said, where they were going to do mandatory 30 years, I believe, and they were going to not be able to appeal it, what has happened? Why are we going to trial?
Certainly, Monique. And obviously, I'm a parent. And I can't even imagine what Wanda and Marcus, the parents of Ahmaud Arbery, how they feel when they watch their son literally be lynched on a video. I mean, how heartbreaking that is to watch that over and over again. And, you know, based on their beliefs, they wanted them to have the most severe punishment possible, period, point blank. If going federal meant that they would have less hard time than in the state of Georgia, then they said, no, you put them in the state of Georgia. The fact that the lynch mob wanted to go to federal prison told them something about, well, if it was on the other foot and Ahmaud had did these things, would anybody make a deal to give them what he wanted? And so I understand she was saying, I want the most severe punishment possible. They're not asking for the death penalty because they don't have it. But they said the most severe punishment possible. And if that meant serving hard time in state, that's what we want. We don't want it in federal prison. And we're lawyers. We have different lenses. We have different perspectives. We understand the supremacy clause that federal Trump states. And it's a slippery slope if you ever start talking about states' rights over federal government in America coming from the South. But with all that said, I am not that parent who had to watch my child lynched.
And I think people really been sometimes they see it. They see the parents in pain. They see them crying, but they don't necessarily understand all of the inner workings that's involved between a lawyer trying to do what is our obligation, which is to get the best resolution possible for a client, which you can't bring that baby back. So the one resolution that would be justice is already off the table. But then trying to do what we know in the realm of the law is possible, as opposed to a parent who is saying, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And sometimes the reality is nothing would be.
Yeah, and Monique, the reality is what they really want is their child back. But if I can't get that, I want to use every waking moment, every breath in my body to try to make sure I can get the greatest measure of justice possible. And I think that's what this family is doing. They're good people. And I think Kristen Clark is extraordinary, what she's doing at the Department of Justice. I mean, I have never in my 25-year career as a civil rights attorney seen the Department of Justice bring so many civil rights excessive force charges against police officers and hate crime charges. So I know the sister is doing everything she can do, but this was a very emotional situation. And if that was my child, I would probably be just like them, Monique. And I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I understand. So what's going to be happening? What is happening today, and how long do you expect it to last?
Jury selection, and so jury selection, I think, will take a couple of days, and then they're going right into the trial phase, which will be significant because hate crime trials don't happen very often in the United States of America. It's such a high burden. But when you think about these text messages, the things that witnesses purported that these murderous father and son duo did, then, they should get convicted of a hate crime.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No question about that. And these are so hard to prove that when we have an opportunity to do so, I think it is important for the particular case, but also it's important just for the state of the law in the United States and for the world to see that our government actually cares about what happens and is willing to go the distance. I know you don't have much time, so I want to get to Amir Locke. This is the most recent case. I know that you are involved with this case. Please tell us what happened. And I want to say to everybody before they even go on watch, if you are easily triggered, don't. let's just take what Attorney Crump is going to say to you today, and you let that be your information. But if you can handle it, then I know that the video is out there. And as you've said to me many times, Ben, it's a shame they don't believe us until there's video. So
Yeah.
that we wouldn't even know what happened to Amir if it wasn't for these body cam videos. But if you could just tell us quickly what happened, and what your role is and what we're trying to get accomplished.
I'm the lead attorney for the family of Amir Locke, representing his mother, Karen Wells, and his father, Andre Locke. And Monique, it's hard to make this make sense because after Breonna Taylor was mutilated with 9 bullets in her body while she was practically naked in her gown in her own apartment, when the Louisville Metropolitan Police were executing an unnecessary, unjustifiable, unconstitutional no-knock warrant, how Minneapolis, who swore they were going to do away with no-knock warrants, would not learn the history lesson during Black History Month from what happened with Breonna Taylor, and to allow these officers to execute this no-knock warrant, even though the department who got the probable cause, St. Paul Police Department, did not ask Minneapolis to have a no-knock warrant. They just asked them to execute a warrant within the city limits of Minneapolis. That was all they asked them to do. And they said that Minneapolis Police Department insisted on executing it as a no-knock warrant. And it's tragic because you look at that video and it's heartbreaking because you see Amir Locke is just laying on the couch, sleep face down. He's a good kid, no criminal history, because if he had criminal history, you know we would know that already. He was not the subject of the warrant or anything like that, and he was a licensed, permitted gun owner. And so just like we say it's foreseeable, Monique, in these matters, when you are going to be breaking in my house, and we got rights to the Second Amendment, that he had every right to defend himself in his castle. It was his cousin's apartment. And I'll say this lastly, Monique, and before I answer your questions about Amir, and I know we're going to do something very unique, Monique, even though we are likely to sue the city of Minneapolis. Their city council has asked me to come and make a presentation on the harm of bad policies and how it leads to civil rights violations and liability for cities. And so I'm gonna make that presentation at 2:30 Eastern time. But I had to take my
Today?
foot out.
You're doing that today?
Today. It's gonna be all over the news everywhere. And I will tell you this, I had to take my foot out my mouth, Monique, because the reality is this. I would always say when it was Corey Jones, Philando Castile, and everybody else, where a black man had a permit to carry a weapon and license, that when the police killed Corey and Philando, where were these gun lobby groups? Where were the NRA people? Why didn't they come forward? Well, here, the Minneapolis Gun Caucus came and issued a statement and said, after watching the video, Amir Locke, this young black man, did what any reasonable, law-abiding, licensed gun permit owner would have done.
Which was what, Ben? Which was what? Because at first they were saying he was just under his blanket. But what was it that actually happened?
Well, he was asleep. They kicked the couch. That's what woke him up. He didn't hear any of that stuff. And they admitted they kicked the couch. And can you imagine being asleep? You somebody kick the couch and you see all these people, you reach for your weapon to defend yourself. And when he put his hand on that gun, pow, 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 just killed him. And you said, oh my God, he never had a chance.
Now, was the gun in plain view?
Moment that 9 seconds. The gun was right on the table beside him. And so we don't know if it's in plain view or not, if the covers were covering it. But what we do know,
because it was no knock, it's not like they had announced themselves or announced that they were law enforcement.
Not until they breached the threshold.
Somebody thinking they're being intruded upon.
It's exactly what like the gun lobby said, that's what anybody would think. And it's just tragic because We know these no not once are disproportionately executed against black people. After Breonna, we did a study last 2 years, previous 2 years before Breonna, 82% of all the no not warrants issued were against African Americans.
No, I didn't know whether you said it or not, but is it true he was not the intended target of the warrant?
He was not the intended target of the warrant. He had no criminal history. I mean, it's like Breonna all over again. And when will we learn? And so we can't make it make sense. It's Black History Month. They should have studied recent history and say, no, not once leads to deadly consequences for innocent black people. And so the fact that they shutting down Minneapolis right now, well, they should be shutting it down because until they stop killing innocent young black people, then what is the response to that? Are we supposed to be well-behaved victims?
Well, and the fact of the matter is, Ben, you know, because you were the one who put the group of us together and was kind enough to take me along when we were going on Capitol Hill and to the White House. If the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act had passed, if the Senate had done its job, then no-knocks would have been outlawed in the entire country. They would have been outlawed. So, you know, Amir would not be gone because they would not have been able to do what they did.
Yeah, and that's the sad reality, that Amir should not have been killed in this manner. And as much as the bullets from the police officer killed him, that reckless, flagrant policy of no knock warrants killed him just as much. And that's what it is. Bad policy, bad laws kill us more than any of their bullets could ever kill us.
That's right. Well, what can we do? Because people are in the comments and people are writing all the time.
Okay.
Hurt and frustrated, but where do we put this pain? What are our action steps?
Well, it seems like Minneapolis, the citizens there are handling their business, but what you should do in your own city, in your own municipality, make sure that you don't have these no-knock warrant policies where the police will disproportionately put black people in harm's way. And I'm going to make a very emotional appeal so white America can understand, even when they bust in our houses, if they don't shoot us and kill us and we shoot back at them and we somehow miraculously survive, then we're going to be charged with either murder or attempted murder, because the disparate impact on us is profound because of this policy. It's almost like we can't win if we're a licensed gun owner and they come in our house without giving us any notice and violating the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution against unreasonable searches and seizures. So that's what we're going to present to Minneapolis, and hopefully the world will learn now from History Lesson 2, Amir Locke, since they didn't learn from History Lesson 1, Breonna Taylor.
Well, we're going to be tracking it and following it and covering it. So I am thankful for all of the work you do. And guys, you're listening, you got your action items. I'm not going to hold you any longer, Attorney Crump, because I know you're going to be back again and again and again. You know, I mean, I just know you're going to be back again and again and again. So I'm thanking you in advance for answering all my calls. And I'm going to continue some of this tomorrow with a very special guest as well. So
can I just say before I leave, Monique?
Sure, absolutely.
I'm so very happy you're doing this show. Make it make sense, because we always have to make sure we engage our people, we educate our people so they can be empowered. And you have that knowledge base, as the old Chinese proverb said, what good is having education if you don't share it with the people?
Amen. Amen.
God bless you.
Thank you. Bless you, Attorney Crump.
All right, Queen. Love you.
Love
Bye-bye.
you too. Thank you so much for sticking with me through our first broadcast of Make It Make Sense. I see everyone sounding off in the comments. If you have questions, I'm going to try just for a few minutes to answer the questions. We will be back tomorrow again at noon. And tomorrow we're talking about a few things. We're talking about Supreme Court Justice nominations, the who, what, where, when, why of it, and getting an explanation of the process from a preeminent expert. We will be talking about HR 40, and we will be talking about voter suppression. So we're going to hit a few things that are of particular specialty to a guest who, again, is another mentor and shero of mine. It's just, you're not going to want to miss tomorrow. Get back tomorrow. And I just saw a colleague and friend of mine, attorney Yodi Tuwolde, who hosts her own show, Making the Case, on BNC weekly, Monday through Friday, evenings at 9 p.m. So please check her out. But you can check her out here on Thursday at noon. We'll be talking law. So it's going to be an exciting week. Let me see what the questions are, and then we'll get out of here. Oh, just a comment. I'll share it. This is a welcome format and necessary news. Thank you for sharing your brilliance. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's my obligation, as I said in the beginning. And we tease all the time saying, make it make sense. But I'm really going to try with us in it together. And I'm going to pull on everybody I know and don't know. And we are going to work together to make it make sense. Enough with the noise, enough with the static, enough with the back and forth punditry, just bickering from a pundit. That's kind of funny, right? But enough. Here, I'm going to give you the facts, an expert interview on some of the days, but we will be right here marching forward together with what the facts are, what the truth is, and some action items so we can get busy. That's all I have for today. If you want to support what we're doing, go to the link tree in my bio, and you can subscribe on Patreon for additional information, or you can cash at me. It's $Mo Press, because we have a small team, but it's a team, and we're working for you, and we're going to continue to build and grow as we go. Look for this broadcast this evening so that you can share it, and it'll also be on all my other platforms. It's facebook.com/I am Monique Pressley is my public Facebook page, and I'm Monique Pressley on YouTube. So it shall be everywhere. Blessings to you. Be motivated in your Monday. And if there's something you've been thinking about doing and you've been waiting, take the message from me. Launch. Bye-bye.